Virtue of Hope. Hope is lamp to my feet. Chapter 1. Through hope is swift and flies which follows wings. Well known is the proverb, while there is life, there is hope. It means that life is hope and hope is life. They say that a man can live without breathing for 5 minutes, but without hope he cannot live even for a second. Some college students put a few questions to their philosophy professor. To the question, what quality you like most in a man, he answered, the prudent daring. To the other question, what did you meet most marvelous, he answered, a man with a living hope. Remember, your attitude towards life affects your altitude. Hope is a deep aspiration of our spirit, breaking loose from the things perishable and attesting its eternity. What lies behind us, what lies before us, are the tiny matters compared to what lies within us. For hope is a prominent component of our personality. It makes our life aglow with zest, constant in work, and our work alive with creativity. Hope makes man patient in fatigue till success is achieved. It strengthens the weak and raises up the fallen. The poet Shakespeare sings, through hope is swift and flies like swallows' wings. Kings it makes gods and meaner creatures kings. Hope keeps alive the capacity and the will to strive, to struggle and to fight for chosen goals. The philosopher and writer Hilary Belloc suggests that hope gives the power to move on in spite of dire circumstances. It illustrates his point with an episode from real life. Two travelers, one a veteran and the other novice, were climbing in the Pyrenees. At the night, they were caught on one of the peaks and had to sleep upon a ledge. Towards the morning, a storm came up and the howling wailed fiercely among the heights. The frightened novice awakened his friend and said, I think it's the end of the world. Oh no, said the veteran, this is how the dawn comes in the Pyrenees. Our daily life is not a bed of roses. Men and women of every walk of life brave daily difficulties of every kind which seem to drown human hope. Even the country is not free of problems. Jawaharlal Nehru never failed to inspire his fellow countrymen with hope and sane optimism once said, on the whole, we shall survive. The outlook is as bad as it has ever been. But thinking people realize that therein lies the hope of it getting better. Every effort brings forth its reward. If we are fully alive, the future is not omniscient but a promise. Look at the farmer who is good season sows the seed in the field with great expectation. God Himself is our hope. True hope implies belief and trust in God, who by His providence guides and leads man to his destiny of fuller life. Man's hope stems from the permanent presence of God in his life. His whole being is polarized towards the encounter as a supreme energy and happiness. And when man lives in this expectation, he can accept present realities, however painful. God is much more to us than merely some faraway force. His presence is the deepest and most intimate reality within each human being. He is closer and more accessible to us than any other person or thing that exists, if only we are open up our hearts and minds to receive Him. The hope in God's presence helps us face life bravely, fearlessly, and calmly. It needs grace and courage to be calm. Augustine Gulliverand writes that courage without calmness is only half-fledged and imperfect. It is a bud that not yet open. Only when it was weathered the storms and aridity of summer will it blossom and bear fruit. My Lord God, I have no idea where I am going. I do not see the road ahead of me. I cannot know for certain where it will end. Nor do I really know myself, and the fact that I think that I am doing your will does not mean that I am actually doing so. But I believe that the desire to please you actually does please you. And I hope that I have that desire in all that I am doing. I hope that I will do nothing apart from that desire. And I know that if I do this, you will lead me by the right road. Though I know nothing about it, therefore I will trust you always. I will not fear, for you are ever with me, and you will never leave me to face my perils alone. Hope in a nutshell is hope perfects the one who possesses it and makes his acts good. Hope is the first step to a winning attitude. Hope is a source of constant energy. Hope fosters a positive stand towards life. Hope forms a mental picture of yourself as you want to be. Hope goes on when all else fails. Hope endures now, that is to say, it relates to the present life of man and makes him ready for the future. The natural flights of the human mind are not from the pleasure to pleasure but from hope to hope, says Samuel Johnson. Yes, hope is a motivating force. A good way to find out what is in a man is to ask him what his hopes are, for in them can be found the deepest motives of his actions. The motives trigger off action and sustain it to the end. Dissatisfied with the present state of things, one logically is not content to wait passively but strains forward towards the goals of his aspiration. The hope of having success is a kind of a power to action. It gives a certain resiliency to human existence. It impels us forward with an energy that carries us ever onward and to react to obstacles with vigor as the rope is stretched tauter. There are three parts to motivating forces. The first is mental. We conceive in our mind where we want to go and what we want to do. Second is philosophical. We ask ourselves the motive, why we want to go there. Strong reasons make for strong actions. The third is physical. We take the necessary steps to achieve what we have decided to. The prophet Moses was asked to liberate the people of Israel from slavery of the king of Egypt. The legend says that when Moses threw the word into the sea, quite contrary to the expectation, did not divide itself to leave a dry passage for the people. Not until the first man had jumped into the sea did the promised miracle happen and the waves recede. In high school, tells Bob Brown, I was overweight, unsure of myself, and had no plans for my future. I did have a dream to become a commercial jet pilot, but I couldn't afford flying lessons and I wore glasses which disqualified me from training as a military pilot. Don't get trapped by negative thinking. My friends said my dream wasn't obtainable. I became discouraged and directionless. I decided to go to university, but my discouragement deepened and I did not so badly that I put on academic probation. Then one day I found a copy of The Power of Positive Thinking by Dr. N. Vincent Pillay. As I read the book, I was filled with optimism that I could achieve my goals, and I did. The next semester, my grades were all B's and then A's, and I lost 21 pounds and got into excellent physical shape. I graduated from college and became a salesman. Now I had the money for flying lessons. I took lessons and became a corporate jet pilot. For the past 3 years, I have been flying for a major international airlines, fulfilling my dreams. Have a PMA. PMA is a positive mental attitude. It pays to pass through the world rather with heavy difficulties than having a PMA. God made you for a reason. You have a job to do. No one else can. Beautiful words of Cardinal Newman. Me to do him some definite service. He has committed some work to me which he has not committed to another. I have my mission. Don't get trapped by negative thinking. It can stifle your initiative. Develop a personal mission, attitude, focus on what you want to be and to do. You are the fellow that has to decide whether you'll do it or toss it aside. You are the fellow who makes up your mind. Whether you lead or linger behind. Whether you'll try for the goal that's afar or be contented to stay where you are. Take it or leave it. Here's something to do. Just think it over. It's all up to you. Rolf Kerr has expressed his personal creed in this way. Succeed at home first, seek and marry divine help, never compromise with honesty, remember the people involved, hear both sides before judging. Obtain counsel of others, defend those who are absent, be sincere yet decisive, develop one new proficiency a year, plan tomorrow's work today, hustle while you wait, maintain a positive attitude, keep a sense of humor, be orderly in person and in work, and do not fear mistakes. Fear only the absence of creative, constructive, and corrective responses to those mistakes. Facilitate the success of subordinates and listen twice as much as you speak. Concentrate your abilities and efforts on the task at hand, not worrying about the next job or promotion. A woman seeking to balance family and work values has expressed her sense of personal mission differently. I will seek to balance career and family as best as I can since both are important to me. My home will be a place where I and my family, friends, and guests will find joy and comfort. Peace and happiness. Still, I will seek to create a clean and orderly environment, yet livable and comfortable. I will exercise wisdom in what we choose to eat, read, see, and do at home. I especially want to teach my children to love, learn, and to laugh, and to work and develop their unique talents. I value the rights and the freedoms and responsibilities of our domestic society. I will be a concerned and informed citizen involved in the political process to ensure my voice is heard and my vote is counted. I will be a self-starting individual who exercises the initiative accomplishing my life's goal. I will act on situation opportunity rather than to be acted upon. I will always try to keep myself free from addictive and destructive habits. I will develop habits and free myself from old labels and limits and expand my capabilities and choices. My money will be my servant, not my master. I will seek financial independence over time. My wants will be subject to my needs and my means. Except for long-term home and car loans, I will seek to keep myself free from consumer debts. I will spend proper quality time. and earn and regularly save and invest part of my income. Moreover, I will use what money and talents I have to make life more enjoyable for others through service and charitable giving. The quest to dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear the unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, and to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to be willing to give when there's no more to give, to be willing to die so that honor and justice may win. And I know if I'll only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will be peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest, and the world will be better for this. That one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with the last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable star. Hope brightens your day. Hope definitely brightens your day and may even help lengthen your life. Like optimism, hope is an antidote to doom and gloom. Psychological research shows that an optimistic view of life in particular and of the world in general, that is of our own talents and ability, benefits both the physical and the mental health. According to psychologist Shelley Taylor, most people view themselves in the more positive light of inborn optimism. They judge themselves to be nice, smart, and prettier than even their closest admirers judges them to be, by helping us feel good about ourselves. An optimistic disposition softens the blows we encounter in our daily life. Like Thomas Merton wrote, "It is life that makes you dance. Have you forgotten the fire of a wild white sun has eaten up the distance between hope and despair? Dance in the sun, wake up and dance in the clarity of perfect contradiction. And come out of the smoke. The world is tossing in its sleep, and the sun is up, and the land is bursting in the silence of dawn." The message of older people, from the life experience of older people, from their practical wisdom, all of us can draw inspiration to grow wiser, simpler, and warmer. W. H. Auden confesses, "I have met in my life two persons, one a man, the other woman, who convinced me that they were persons of sanctity. Utterly different in character, upbringing, and interest as they were, their effect on me was the same. In their presence, I felt myself to be 10 times nice, 10 times as intelligent, 10 times good looking as I really am." Years ago, Auntie Jo Stonitz described her experience as follows: "I'm almost 75 years old and most certainly experienced many delights from God. Though we saw tragedy in our son's accidental death by electrocution the few years ago, and the so recent mental illness of my husband, whereby I had to place him in a nursing home, I know that God still delights in me. I spend many hours alone. However, I call these hours of purification time. Times I become solely His. He talks with me and I am with Him. Silent whispering of enjoyment, knowing that I am never alone. That He delights in my aloneness. He soothes my anxieties, makes me feel useful, and shows me love through my children, grandchildren, my sisters, and friends. He lets me see the morning sun closer and bigger, the trees greener and taller, the birds more colorful and flightier, the squirrels more playful and faster, the flowers prettier, the children happier, the moon brighter, the stars shinier, and then I see God smiling at me. I know that He is my delight and I am His. During the last years of his life, Cardinal Cushing was a sick man. He was in and out of the hospital repeatedly, yet it was impossible to break the spirit of humor. Each siege of illness seemed to make him more brilliant in his ever-widening dream of attainment. Indeed, delightful to quote portions of the poem, "I'm fine, how about you? I'm just as healthy as can be. I have arthritis in both my knees, and when I talk with a wheeze. My pulse is weak and my blood is thin, but I'm awfully well for the shape I'm in. The moral is this, as this tale will unfold, that for you and me we are growing old. It's better to say I'm fine with a grin than to let them know the shape we are in." Some years before his passing, he was plainly told, "Sir, you must take care of yourself if you want your days prolonged." His face beamed as he told us, "8 years ago, four outstanding physicians told me emphatically I didn't have more than 3 years to live." He waited fully a moment, then, with a twinkle in his eye, he continued, "Those doctors were good men, their intentions were the best, but do you know what?" "No, what?" inquired his companions eagerly. "I buried those four physicians, and I am still carrying on." This was rather typical of the grin humor which was his in the times of lessening strength. Then he proceeded to quote the final lines of the poem that is referred to previously. "I get up each morning and dust off my wits, pick up the paper and write the obits. If my paper name is missing, I know I'm not dead. So I eat a good breakfast and go back to bed. Then he chuckled, saying the last line. That, of course, is the poetic license, for I never go back to bed if I can crawl. Francis E. Sale gives a good advice when he writes, do not look forward to the changes and the chances of this life in fear. Rather, look to them with hope that as they arise, God, whose you are, will deliver you out of them. The same very God who cares for you today will take care of you tomorrow and every day, either by shielding you from suffering or by giving you strength to bear it. Be at peace then and put aside all anxious thoughts. Be enthusiastic and optimistic. Enthusiasm is that kindling spark which marks the difference between the leaders in every activity and the laggards who put in just enough to get by. No one likes a drone. Even the bees get rid of drones. Consider yourself as necessary member of God's family and get down to the business. Hope fosters creativity. Man hopes and dreams, and that's good because dreams lead him to be creative, to organize himself, to gather and convey all his energies for success. When you smell good food cooking on a stove, your appetite comes alive. You want to sample the delicious treat being prepared before your eyes. The same thought can be expressed in a more poetic vein. Man saw a deer and wished he could run as fast as deer. Man saw fish swim and he wished he could swim. Man saw a bird fly and wishes he could fly. It is man's nature first to dream in his mind what he can do and then find the means to do it. You have the right, if not the duty, to dream, to desire, and therefore to hope. The seeds of desire can grow only if you encourage them. You need to educate yourself to the world of desires that are legitimate, proper, and generative of projects achievable which exclude infantile fantasies. Desires open wider horizons to our small world, often full of illusions and delusions. Besides preventing the monotony of life, the mediocrity of heart, and narrowness of mind, they help you look for the more, for the better. They invite you to go beyond. They lead you to the fascination of adventure, of discovering new things. Desires serve you by leading you to improve the material, intellectual, and spiritual qualities of your life, thus developing all your human potential. Gather your energies. Most people attain nothing because they lack hope and dreams. They don't know what they want. Want nothing. Unlike the beasts who are what they are and do not develop during their lifespan, human beings do develop and indeed must develop. Each of us have erroneous potential, and it is by using our potentialities and our talents that we can and do become greater, often greater than we ourselves or anybody else thought possible. For example, what could man do in these modern times without electricity? It provides heat, light, and power. It moves our trains and makes possible the showing of films, the transmission of programs on radio and television. The uses to which the energy of electricity can be put are indeed without limit. Likewise, there is within man a source of energy which is not unlike that of electricity. It is the spiritual energy which warms up our emotions, which are manifested in the limitless variety of actions. The inner energy is energy only when it is in motion and in action. Linwood Johnson recalls sitting in a fourth grade classroom and hearing his teacher say, Linwood, you're just a plain dumb. You'll never amount to anything. Eventually, he quit school, never learning to read. Then, at 35, he dared to dream. I'm sick and tired of taking a back seat to everyone. If I could learn how to read, the, st- then the sky would be my limit. He admitted the problem to his boss, who encouraged him to seek help. After enrolling literally program, Lindman was on his way to a newfound freedom and his dream became a reality. The famous Olympic track champion Jesse Owens narrates Norman Peale was born poor and was also quite frail and skinny, not at all rugged. One day in school, Jesse listened to a talk of the great athlete Charlie Paddock. He was animating the students. Do you know who you are? Well, I'm here to tell you, you are children of God and you have it in you to become what you want to be if you know what that is. If you form a goal, if you believe in that goal and in yourself, if you work hard and never give up. That is when Jesse knew precisely what he wanted to be. He ran into the gymnasium and said to the coach, exclaiming, Coach, I've got a dream. I'm going to be the fastest man alive. The coach encouraged, that's right, Jesse, I have a dream. You can never go higher than you can dream, but you go as high as you can dream. Then he added, but you will have to climb a ladder to your dreams and it will be steep and hard going. And on the ladder to your dreams are four rungs. The first is determination, second is dedication, third is discipline, And the fourth rug is attitude. Most important is attitude towards your goal, towards yourself, towards your life, and towards God. It will determine whether or not your dream will come through. Have a single purpose. Desire and freedom to choose are awesome gifts because they bring with them the responsibility for action. They are meant to help us to attain our goal. If we are not controlled, they can blind us to the one thing necessary for success and real peace. Control your desires does not destroy your capacity to dream but creates that singleness of purpose that simply puts things in their place. It envisages that creative living that springs from an inner unique force, from something deep within that makes you most yourself. To live creatively means finding your deepest truth and discovering your inward person. It means entering deeply into your inner well and freeing what is there, what is you, yet more than you. History is filled with people who held on to hope and who believed that their desires would reach fruition despite the odds. Alexander Graham Bell was laughed at when the invention of phone as a crank who says he can talk through a wire. So therefore Fyodor M. Dostoevsky survived 4 years in a Siberian prison camp and the problems of epilepsy to become one of the world's greatest novelists. Ludwig van Beethoven composed most of his music during years of his steadily worsening hearing loss. Helen Keller, which was blind and deaf from the age of 19 months, went on to become graduate with honor and to become the world-renowned author and lecturer who said the world is full of suffering, it is full of the overcoming of it. The Mahatma Gandhi, by fasting and through the sheer perseverance, made India a free country. If you have built castles in the air, your world need not be lost. Now put the foundations under them. Believe in yourself. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look there. Seek help. Life is a journey in unknown territory and it is wise to not travel alone. Even in your work, in your enterprise, it helps to seek advice from friends and persons who are willingly available. It is like a consulting a map. The emperor Li Sil-min, a founder of his dynasty, was once infuriated by a censor, Tai Sung, who insisted on contradicting him in front of the court. When the emperor told his wife that he would never be master in his own empire as long as this critic drew breath, his empress withdrew to her dressing room, returned in ceremonial robes. I have heard, she said, that an enlightened emperor finds courageous censors. You have just admitted that you are such a one. I robe myself in your honor. If you completely ignore seeking advice, you may waste hours on end in a futile search for success. To profit from good advice requires wisdom. Hope holds on. Hope is the expectation of a good that is possible of attainment, though it is difficult. Consequently, hope is a solution of the difficult and painful circumstances we have to encounter in our daily life. For this reason, our hope should be alive, strong, firm, and unshakable. The hope of one who passively submits to the insufficiency and difficulty of existing conditions and who is distrustful of God's help to change them is weak and weary. Carol M. Kelly writes that it is hope that creates in us the capacity to accept, to trust, and to wait, even as we make plans and move towards the future. We can resist waiting in the present and struggle against it. We resent our powerlessness to escape from our limitations and circumstances which imprison us, not realizing that our very resistance transforms the waiting into quicksand, which pulls us even deeper into its morass. Only grace experience can teach us how to stay calmly so that we can be free to leap into the future when the time is right. Experience is the nourishing soil of our hope. Experience and faith give us the reason to trust and to hope. Learn to wait, life's hardest lesson. God, perchance, though blinding tears, while the heart throbs sadly, echo to the tread of passing years. Learn to wait, hope's slow fruition. Faint not, though the way seems long. There is joy in each condition. Hearts through suffering may grow strong. Thus, a soul untouched by sorrow aims not at a higher state. Joy seeks not a brighter morrow, only saddened heart learn to walk. Wait. Sources unknown.